What Rick Lagina just discovered in the depths of Oak Island will rewrite pirate history forever. A $110 million treasure hoard that's been hidden for over 300 years. But that's not even the most shocking part. The sophisticated death traps, the secret pirate banking network, and the evidence that changes everything we thought we knew about Oak Island. Smash that like button, because you're about to witness the most incredible treasure discovery in modern history. Rick Lagina couldn't believe his eyes when a centuries-old leather-bound journal surfaced in Halifax. Its ink had faded to near illegibility, but the clues were unmistakable. A hidden hoard buried deep beneath Oak Island, protected by coded maps promising a way past the infamous flood tunnels. As experts pored over the pages, links emerged to pirate captains active in the late 1600s, notorious figures who had sailed the Atlantic with fortunes that vanished without a trace. Rick traced every symbol, every marking, ancient Templar signs entwined with Masonic patterns and pirate insignias, and a theory began to take shape. Oak Island wasn't just a legend, it was a transatlantic storage hub, a secret vault for rogue merchants and privateers who risked everything to hide their wealth beneath the island's treacherous surface. Historic geological surveys from the 1800s suddenly made sense when compared to modern sonar scans. Multiple subterranean chambers had been carefully engineered under the money pit, their layouts too precise to be natural. Local legends of glimmering coffers beneath the ground, and stories of booby-trapped tunnels, once dismissed as fantasy, now demanded attention. The crew readied high-pressure drilling rigs and advanced scanning equipment, their nerves taut with the realization that this could be the most significant discovery Oak Island had ever seen. Every creak, every shadow felt like a warning, but curiosity and adrenaline drove them forward. Using multi-frequency sonar and ground-penetrating radar, the team uncovered voids in the earth that defied natural explanation. The chambers were layered, perfectly aligned, and clearly man-made. Rick cross-referenced pirate logs and shipping routes from the 18th century, discovering plausible motives for moving treasure to Nova Scotia, away from prying English and Spanish eyes. Even more astonishing, the scans revealed flood tunnels designed to redirect water during high tides, a centuries-old anti-theft system sophisticated enough to rival modern engineering. Then came the breakthrough, a previously unknown vertical shaft extending far beyond prior drilling limits, reinforced with ancient wood and metal that had withstood the weight of centuries. As the crew debated the risk of structural collapse, Rick's eyes burned with determination. The potential payoff of gold, gems, and historic artifacts was too immense to ignore, and the tension in the pit was palpable. Excavation brought them face to face with a massive oak-reinforced door, its iron hinges seeming impervious to the passage of time. Symbols etched into the wood told a story in themselves. Pirate insignias, celestial navigation markers, cryptic coordinates, each mark a whisper from the past. Nearby, rusted keys, carved tokens, and coins dating from 1690 to 1720 lay scattered like breadcrumbs, leading deeper into history. Rick speculated that this chamber wasn't merely a burial vault, it was a secret transatlantic bank, a hidden ledger of pirate fortunes moved between Nova Scotia, the Caribbean, and Europe. Outside, storm clouds gathered, their shadows stretching over the money pit, as if nature itself sensed the magnitude of what was about to be revealed. The air thickened with anticipation, the crew bracing for the moment they would breach the door and confront history head-on. But what Rick and his team were about to face beyond that ancient oak door would test every ounce of their courage and expertise. The pirates who had constructed this underground fortress hadn't just hidden their treasure. They had created one of the most dangerous and sophisticated security systems ever devised. As lightning flashed across the darkening sky above Oak Island, casting eerie shadows over the money pit, the team prepared for a descent that would either make them legends or become their final expedition. The moment of truth had arrived, and there was no turning back. What they discovered in those depths would challenge everything historians believed about pirate capabilities and reveal a secret network that spanned continents. But first, they had to survive the deadly gauntlet that centuries-old engineering had laid in wait for intruders exactly like them. The rope ladder swayed violently as the crew descended into the narrow shaft, each step bringing them deeper into darkness, further from the safety of sunlight and fresh air. Flashlights cut through the black, their beams bouncing off slick walls of damp stone and centuries-old wood, while handheld sonar units hummed softly, scanning the chamber below. Every creak of the ladder and groan of the timbers above made hearts race. The sense of claustrophobia pressed in from all sides, a reminder that one misstep could leave them trapped or worse. The air was thick with the smell of damp earth, oxidized metal, and centuries of decaying timber, an almost mystical scent that made it feel like the past itself was breathing down their necks. Rick's eyes darted constantly, scanning every shadow for danger, while simultaneously searching for the glimmers of treasure he had imagined for years. The original beams supporting the shaft creaked ominously with every movement. Rick barked instructions, urging careful navigation, as engineers debated the need for additional supports. Each step required precision, each handhold measured against the risk of collapse. Even the smallest shift could dislodge centuries of carefully arranged earth and wood, threatening to bury everything beneath tons of debris. Amid this tension, the crew began to notice small artifacts tucked into cracks and crevices, coins, medallions, and broken tools, some bearing markings that suggested pirate ownership, others likely belonging to early privateers who had passed through this underground labyrinth long before. Each find whispered of long-term activity, a hidden history that had remained secret for hundreds of years. Then came the first real hint of what lay deeper, a faint, golden reflection off the wall of the chamber, tiny at first, like sunlight through a crack in a canopy. The crew froze, holding their breaths, sensing they were on the threshold of a discovery that could eclipse all prior Oak Island finds. Hearts pounded as they moved closer, the shadows stretching long across the uneven stone, revealing a small alcove that had somehow survived the centuries intact. Every member of the team could feel it. They were moments away from history. As they stepped fully into the chamber, the sight that met them stole every ounce of skepticism and replaced it with awe. Rows of golden bars glimmered atop sturdy wooden pallets, some bearing intricate pirate insignias etched deep into their surfaces. Oak chests sat nearby, overflowing with coins, gemstones, necklaces, and jewelry. Some pieces obviously centuries old, others possibly fabricated for long-term storage by pirates wary of the dangers of transit. Rick ran a hand over a chest, feeling the weight of history in the rough wood, calculating silently the staggering total. $110 million, a figure almost beyond comprehension. Experts would later confirm the origins of the coins and artifacts. Mints from Spain, France, and the Caribbean, dating between 1650 and 1720, validating centuries of legend and speculation. But for now, the crew faced the immediate challenge of extraction. Each bar and chest was heavy and precariously balanced atop fragile pallets. One wrong move could send everything crashing to the ground. Quick thinking became essential. Pulley systems were designed and deployed to lower each item safely, a combination of engineering skill and nerve that turned the extraction into a meticulous, almost ceremonial operation. Awe, disbelief, and adrenaline mixed in the tight chamber as centuries of mystery culminated in a moment of triumph, tinged with fear. Just as relief began to settle, the hidden defenses designed centuries ago became frighteningly real. Pressure plates, likely left by pirates to deter thieves, triggered partial flooding as water surged through concealed channels, rushing toward the precious hoard. Panic surged briefly, but the crew sprang into action, deploying pumps and temporary barriers to redirect the torrent. Rick watched closely, realizing the ingenuity of these mechanisms. They were state-of-the-art for 17th-century engineering, designed to protect fortunes from both rival thieves and the unpredictable forces of nature. Water rose rapidly, the chamber echoing with the sounds of rushing currents, shouts, and the occasional groan of timber under strain. The storm outside mirrored the chaos below. Lightning struck the trees above, thunder rolling across the island, the elements seeming to join the centuries-long defense of the treasure. The crew moved in a synchronized frenzy, their focus razor-sharp as they fought both natural and man-made dangers to keep the treasure from being lost to history, or the flood. Every decision carried immense weight, every second counting against centuries of well-laid pirate traps. In that suspended, chaotic moment, the chamber was alive with history, danger, and discovery. The team balanced precariously on the edge of triumph and catastrophe. But the $110 million in gold and gems was just the beginning of what would become the most shocking revelation in Oak Island history. Hidden among the treasure chests were documents that would expose a secret so massive, so carefully guarded, that it had remained hidden for over 300 years. As Rick and his team caught their breath from the flooding crisis, still ankle-deep in ancient water that had nearly claimed their discovery, they had no idea that the real treasure wasn't the gold, it was the information. Leather-bound journals, maps, and coded documents that would reveal Oak Island as just one piece of a puzzle spanning continents. The pirates hadn't just buried treasure here, they had created something far more sophisticated and dangerous, a transatlantic criminal empire, with Oak Island at its very heart. And the evidence was about to rewrite history books around the world. Leather-bound journals, yellowed with age, revealed secrets that sent shivers through the Oak Island team. The faded ink detailed alliances, betrayals, and meticulously recorded trading routes, hinting at a web of pirate activity far more sophisticated than anyone had imagined. Rick carefully examined each page, the cryptic handwriting offering glimpses of intrigue, names, dates, and coded locations suggesting that Oak Island was not an isolated treasure site, but part of a vast transatlantic network of pirate vaults. Symbols scratched into the margins, mirrored insignias etched on chests and coins in the chamber, confirming that these were not random markings, but a deliberate system of communication used by pirates to safeguard their wealth across oceans. Maps and charts buried within the journals hinted at even more hidden chambers on Oak Island, some possibly untouched for centuries. Rick and the team spent hours attempting partial translation of the cryptic codes, piecing together names and references that matched historical pirates like William Kidd, Blackbeard, and L'Ollonais. Each connection added a layer of authenticity and raised the stakes. This wasn't just gold. It was evidence of a carefully orchestrated pirate banking system. Debate flared among the crew over the ethics of revealing these discoveries. Could sharing the information endanger other caches, spark treasure wars, or even invite criminal opportunists to the island? The tension was tangible, a mix of historical fascination and immediate practical concern. Amid this intellectual unraveling, Juan and the engineering team began planning the extraction in earnest. Reinforced pulleys were designed, silent motors calibrated, and protective carts crafted to move the treasure carefully without setting off centuries-old traps. Each gold bar and chest was lifted slowly, every movement calculated and documented, as the crew recorded weight, dimensions, and markings for historical preservation. Rick reflected on lessons learned from past collapses and the intricacies of flood tunnels, understanding that patience and precision were just as critical as strength and courage. The work was physically exhausting. Long hours in the dark, confined spaces tested endurance and morale. Yet moments of humor and camaraderie kept spirits alive, laughter echoing off the damp walls as the team balanced toil with relief at progress made. Nightfall brought a new level of tension. The extraction continued under darkness to minimize the risk of outside observation or theft, and every sound, creaking beams, shifting carts, distant wind, felt magnified. The crew moved like a well-oiled machine, synchronized in timing and effort, aware that one misstep could compromise centuries of treasure and history. Shadows danced against walls, creating illusions of movement that made every glance and whisper feel urgent. Above ground, signs of potential rivals began to emerge. Strange lights flickered across the tree line, faint but unmistakable, suggesting that outsiders may have been observing the pit for days. In response, security measures were intensified. Cameras were installed at vantage points, guards patrolled the perimeter, and alarms were tested repeatedly. The storm overhead compounded the sense of vulnerability. Heavy rain and lightning made structural threats more pressing as old beams groaned and water seeped into lower tunnels. Rick was forced to make critical decisions in real time, balancing the need for speed to secure the Hoard against the safety of his crew and the integrity of the historical site. Every pulley lift, every creaking support beam became a moment of high-stakes drama. A pulley snapped under weight, sending a gold chest swinging dangerously close to the chamber wall, hearts stopping as it nearly collided with centuries-old timber. The crew moved quickly to stabilize it, their movements precise, rehearsed, and tense, aware that any miscalculation could undo months of preparation. The shadows, the sound of rushing water, and the distant rumble of thunder created a cinematic backdrop to an operation that was as much about survival as it was about treasure. Every breath, every command, every careful lift underscored the reality that the Oak Island Hoard was no longer a legend. It was a living, dangerous, historical puzzle they were unlocking in real time. As dawn broke over Oak Island, Rick Lagina stood at the edge of the money pit, watching the final pieces of the $110 million treasure being carefully lifted to safety. But even as the gold caught the first rays of morning sunlight, he knew this discovery was about to trigger something much bigger than anyone had anticipated. The journals and artifacts they had uncovered weren't just proof of Oak Island's treasure. They were a roadmap to an entire network of hidden pirate vaults scattered across 2 continents. The implications were staggering. Every museum, every historian, every treasure hunter in the world was about to learn that everything they thought they knew about pirate operations had been completely wrong. But with great discovery comes great responsibility and great danger. As news of the find began to leak, Rick and his team realized they had awakened something that had been sleeping for centuries. The real adventure was just beginning. The chamber seemed to pulse with history, as Rick and the crew uncovered more than just gold. Hidden among the pallets and chests were compasses, sextants, and carved sigils, each instrument bearing the unmistakable mark of pirate ownership. These were not mere tools. They were navigational keys, relics that had guided voyages across the Atlantic centuries ago. Every etching, every scratch told a story of calculated risk, covert routes, and the ingenuity of men who had mastered both sea and secrecy. Fragmentary ship logs and letters surfaced alongside them, brittle with age, yet legible enough to reveal a shadowed world of trade, smuggling, and alliances so carefully guarded they had never been recorded in official histories. Each page was a puzzle piece, hinting at Oak Island's role as just one node in a sprawling network of pirate caches spanning the Caribbean, Europe, and North America. The emotional weight of these discoveries was almost suffocating. Some crew members stared silently, overwhelmed by the tangible connection to history, while others wrestled with anxiety, acutely aware that each excavation carried not just the thrill of discovery, but the danger of collapsing tunnels, flooding, or exposure to rival treasure seekers. Rick's mind raced with the implications. If these treasures were linked to European royal coffers, as some documents hinted, the significance extended far beyond Oak Island, rewriting pirate history and perhaps even altering the understanding of transatlantic commerce and covert operations of the 17th century. The team cataloged each artifact meticulously, knowing that every compass, medallion, and letter might hold clues to other caches, possibly lying dormant for centuries, waiting for the right combination of skill, courage, and timing to be revealed. Local historians were called in to verify the astonishing haul. Their confirmation sent shockwaves through Nova Scotia, as coins minted in Spain, France, and the Caribbean, along with jewelry and navigational instruments, proved that the legends of pirate activity on Oak Island were far from fiction. Media outlets around the globe descended, their cameras capturing the gleam of gold and the excitement etched into every crevice of the money pit. For Rick, decades of speculation, frustration, and hope culminated in a cinematic payoff. The culmination of a lifetime spent chasing whispers and shadows, now grounded in irrefutable, tangible evidence. The crew meticulously cataloged and documented every item, coordinating plans for preservation, legal transfer, and eventual museum display, ensuring the legacy of Oak Island's most remarkable discovery would endure far beyond their lifetimes. Amid the chaos and celebration, Rick allowed himself a reflective moment, peering into the pit as storm clouds swirled above, hinting that even more secrets lay hidden beneath the island's surface. Maps and coded logs hinted at even more treasures across the Atlantic, their symbols and coordinates suggesting a complex network of pirate vaults spanning the Caribbean and the eastern seaboard of North America. Oak Island emerged as a central hub, its discoveries shedding light on a sophisticated transatlantic pirate banking system that had until now been only theorized. The crew debated the ethics of continuing the hunt versus preserving the integrity of the artifacts and the surrounding environment. Every decision carried weight, as greed, historical preservation, and safety intersected in tense calculations. Rick, standing at the edge of the pit, gazed down at the glimmering treasure, the wet wood reflecting lightning flashes from the storm above, a perfect visual tableau of history, danger, and triumph intertwined. Hints of future adventures hung in the air like a charged storm, suggesting that Oak Island was far from fully revealed. The journals, maps, and artifacts hinted at further undiscovered chambers, additional hoards, and perhaps links to pirate treasures long thought lost to the sea. As the wind rattled through the trees and the rain slicked the island's surfaces, the money pit stood as both a monument and a challenge, daring the living to uncover its remaining secrets. Each chest, each compass, each etched symbol was a whisper from the past, urging the crew onward, promising more discoveries, more history, and more suspense. Oak Island had given up its first great secret, but the story was far from over, its legend alive, breathing, and ready to draw the next generation into its depths. So, there you have it, Rick Lagina's $110 million discovery that has rewritten pirate history forever. But this is just the beginning. The maps and journals found with the treasure point to at least 7 other major pirate caches across North America and the Caribbean, each one potentially worth hundreds of millions. The question now isn't whether more treasure exists. It's whether Rick and his team have the courage to follow these 300-year-old clues to their ultimate conclusion. Because if the journals are correct, Oak Island was just the bank vault. The real pirate fortress is still out there, waiting to be discovered. What do you think? Should Rick follow these ancient maps to their deadly conclusion? Let me know in the comments below. Smash that like button if this blew your mind, and subscribe for more incredible treasure discoveries that will change history forever. The Oak Island mystery is far from over. In fact, it's just beginning.